everybody, Mountain Grandma here. As you can see, I've got my Instant Pot broke out. And that's because I'm going to show you today how to make a couple of wonderful dishes. As you can see here, I'm going to show you how to make a pumpkin cheesecake. It's just amazing. And also a meatloaf, which is a great fall family favorite, in this Instant Pot right here. Easy meals, minimal cleanup, and I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with cheesecake. So we're going to start with that. Let's get started. This is part of the Instant Pot Magic collaboration hosted by Tina at Life in the Piedmont. Check out the description box down below for the details. So the first thing we're going to start with is making the crust for this little bitty pan. This is a 6-inch springform pan that I'm going to be using. So we're going to start out with 3/4 of a cup of graham crackers, and to this I'm going to add in 2.5 tablespoons of melted butter. And then I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of monk fruit sweetener. You can use sugar if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and get this all mixed up, and then I'll get it pressed into the pan, and I'll be back with you. Almost forgot an important part. We're going to put in a teaspoon of pumpkin spice. All right, here this is. I don't know if you can see how I've got that pushed in along the walls. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the freezer. That'll help it settle a little bit while I work on the filling. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, next up I've got 2 packages, 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. I'm going to go ahead and get these blended up with a blender, and I'll be back with you. Right, next I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of, I'm using monk fruit sweetener. You could also use regular sugar if you want. And I'm adding that in a little bit at a time with the blender. After I get the monk fruit sweetener all blended in, I'm going to add in 2 eggs. And again, you want your cream cheese at room temperature. You want your eggs at room temperature. It's going to make your cheesecake turn out better. So add those eggs in one by one and get it mixed up. All right, we're going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, and a cup of pumpkin. All right, one thing I want to point out, do you see how I've got this wrapped in aluminum foil? The pan's small enough that you can get a sheet of aluminum foil and just put it in there. So I got that wrapped in foil. Now let me go ahead and get our pumpkin pie mixture poured into this pan. And I think I'm going to have extra. Now they do sell a 6-inch cheesecake springform pan that's 3 inches tall. And that's the one you really want. Then you won't have extra. As you can see, this is full though. And it did turn out great. So let's continue. Okay, about the Instant Pot. What you see here is I've got about a 6-quart pot, and at least I think that's what it is. Might be 8 quarts. But I've got 1 cup of water down at the bottom of this, and I've got my metal trivet here. And I don't know if you can tell, but the water comes up just to the bottom of the trivet. So kind of pointing that out. Now watch this. When I put this guy in here, you'll see it fits. Like I could use on this one, I could probably use a 7-inch cheesecake pan if I wanted to, and it would be a really cozy fit. This is the 6-inch cheesecake pan. All right, what I'm doing now, if I can not screw this up, do you see how I pulled in the little trivet handles? I've slid in a piece of aluminum foil, okay, over the pan. I'm going to use these little trivet handles to make like a little tent. Oh my gosh, I did it. I did it. Okay, the purpose for this is to prevent any condensation or anything dripping down onto the top of it. So, you see there? Got a little tent going on. All right, now I've got my little thingy here turned over to sealed, okay? So we're sealing that. On the front, we're gonna push pressure cook, and we're gonna make sure it's on high pressure. Pressure cook, high pressure, and we're increasing this to 30 minutes. And there we go. One other thing, you don't want the keep warm light on. So we're turning the keep warm off. All right, now as this is cooking, when this is done, when it beeps, we're gonna let it do a natural pressure release for at least 20 minutes. And I'll be back with you then. Okay, in 30 minutes, the beeper's gonna go off. You wanna let it do a natural pressure release for 20 minutes, and you can see I'm just showing you here that it's done that already. There's no steam coming out. And now it's time to go ahead and take the lid off. You're gonna let your cheesecake sit in here for 20 minutes more, just to let it cool down a little more naturally. And then you can see the water droplets. That's why we had the tent on there. And then go ahead and pull your cheesecake out. You can see there are a couple little cracks in mine, but I'm never alarmed by that when I'm making cheesecakes if that happens, because it's just easy to cover them up with, you know, decorations or Cool Whip or something. So there we go. I'm going to pull that out on the countertop, and that's going to go in my refrigerator for at least, you want to keep it in the fridge at least 8 hours, if not overnight or just all day until dinner. And then it's ready, and I'll show you what that looks like. And right out of the pan here, you can see how good it is. I put Cool Whip on top of it. It is light, airy, creamy, the best pumpkin cheesecake ever. And I'll give you a close-up of the bite here before we start making dinner. There it is. Yum. All right, now on to making meatloaf. All right, we're going to start out with 2 pounds of lean ground beef and adding 2 eggs to that, mushing it all up. I'm adding in a half of a bell pepper and a half an onion chopped up well. For seasonings, you're going to see me add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of Creole seasoning, a half a teaspoon of garlic salt, a half a teaspoon of seasoned salt, and about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And then you're going to see my hubby's hands sneak in here and crunch up a bunch of crackers. Those are just regular old saltine crackers, about a half of a pack of those. And then when you mix it all up, it looks like this. All right, I've got a cup of water in here, and I've got my trivet here. I'm going to set in here these 2 smaller pans of meatloaf. There we go. All right, so I've put a little bit of seasoned tomato sauce on top of those, and you're just going to see me putting some cheese on top of them as well. And then what I'm going to do next is get some aluminum foil, and I'm going to cover these up like I did with the cheesecake, just to prevent any condensation from dripping down on the top of those as they're cooking. All right, we are going to pressure cook. We want to make sure it's on high pressure, and we're going to increase this time to 40 minutes. All right, now we're going to get our lid put on. And we have our little knob here turned over so that it can pressurize. Now when this finishes at 40 minutes, we're going to do a quick release, and I'll be back with you then. I've got 2 extra here. I'm going to cover with aluminum foil, and we're going to go ahead and get these put up in the freezer. So the next time we want to make meatloaf, I can pop it into the Instant Pot and then it'll be ready. And it's like an effortless meal. All you got to do is make your potatoes. And here we go. It's actually 10 minutes after the beeper went off, and I'm pulling these out. I was happy to see what they look like as the final version. Remove the little tent there. That comes in handy for making sure you don't get water dripped on your food. Look at that. And it cooked all the way through, as you can see it. It had a great texture and taste to it. It was awesome. Awesome. I hope you all try this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget the cheesecake. And until next time, remember everybody, keep your joy, folks.